When I was going through Ranger School, we had to do a lot of spot checks. A spot check is basically, we don't have time to get all your gear laid out to make sure you have all your shit.
Just because there's a very large number of ways to interpret the world doesn't mean there's a very large number of productive, meaningful, and sustainable ways to interpret the world.
It's just the representative they're putting out there. It's not who they really are. And it's not something that you need to be aware of because it's not something you can control.
People who you thought will help you won't be there for you. Where's your feeling of being empowered, having the capacity to create now? That's going to happen to you in life. And I say that what's necessary is that you stand courageously, daringly, that you become bold. In spite of this, I'm not giving up on my dream. I want the guy who's struggling. I want the guy that failed and can still get back up again. Your problem is your pain has identified you. Your pain has weakened you. And some of you, as long as it's a perfect day, you operate in excellence.
So a spot check is maybe they'll check out 2 items. Maybe making sure you have your extra batteries, extra ammo, whatever it may be. The whole idea of a spot check is to make sure that you're staying squared away, because you don't know what kind of item they're going to check on. So how does that apply to your life? This is how it applies. You want to make sure you spot check yourself, make sure you stay dialed in at all times. It's also important to check, spot check your boys, your girls. Make sure that they're staying hard. Call them up in the middle of the night. Give them a call and say, hey, tomorrow at 8 o'clock, make sure they're staying dialed in. We have 2 voices in our mind. I've heard them. I hear them now. And they're real.
The thing that's so interesting about the day is like a page in a book. I had one client who was spending about 45 minutes a night fighting with his young son about when to go to bed. And so, they weren't having a pleasant time of it because it was just a constant battle. And that's common. Like, it's very common for parents of young children to be locked in a battle that occurs day after day. Sometimes it's around eating, sometimes it's toilet training, sometimes it's general behavioral issues, sometimes it's bedtime. It's like, okay, 40 minutes a day. So that's 280 minutes a week. So that's, let's say, 5 hours. It's 20 hours a month. It's 240 hours in a year. That's 6 work weeks. That's a month and a half. You're spending a month and a half of work weeks doing nothing but fighting with your son. Don't fool yourself. No. Anything that's every day is a significant percentage of your life.
There's that one voice. It's okay. It's that calming voice. You want to be hugged and nurtured and all that shit that says it's going to be okay. That wakes you up in the middle of the night. It's not your girlfriend. It's not your boyfriend. You haven't put enough time in. It's that voice you want to run away from. But guess what? Stay hard. Listen to the whisper. So years ago, my mentality is this. If you're scared of something, learn about it.
You're awake, let's say, 16 hours. 5 of those hours are basically maintenance. So you got about 11. And then 7 of those are work. So now you're down to 4. And so if you're spending 15 minutes a day doing something painful and stupid and you do it every day, it's like 10% of your productive life. Because people think backwards. They think, well, I have a vacation coming up and that's really important. It's like, no, it's not. You're only going to do it once. It's not that important. Yeah. How you treat each other at lunchtime, if you eat together every day, that's your life. Yeah. Fix that. Get it so that the food's good. Get it so that you're happy with the people that are sitting there. Fix that. It's like, poof, 10% of your life is fixed.
The purpose is to align ourselves to really make a change. So you can either be the conversation about making change, or you can be a part of the action to do it. I want to be a part of the action. I don't want to be you or beat you.
As soon as the circumstances change, you quit, you give up. So what makes ET different than everybody else? Every year, I just kept going. And I kept going and I kept going. I kept saying, one day gonna be my day. You know what I'm not gonna do? I'm not gonna quit in the process. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna give in. Don't let life change your name. Don't let it change your name. Don't you be nasty just cause they're nasty. Don't you be hateful just cause they're hateful.
The more you can begin to delineate in life between things I can control and I cannot control will be to the extent that you're more productive and you're happier. You can control your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own identity, and your own patterns, not other people's. So speaking of these payoffs we talked about earlier, how can you begin to get the payoff you want from the new empowering pattern? And so a couple questions I want you to ask yourself today, because we do want more bliss. Since that's my word, I'm assuming you want more bliss after you've heard all the synonyms, and I know you want the antithesis to misery. So assuming you want more bliss in your life, decide to have it and take some actions towards getting it. So let me ask you a question. What are you doing currently to create more bliss in your life? What are the actions you're taking to give yourself more bliss? You are intentionally seeking more bliss.
Don't you be vengeful just because they're vengeful. Don't lose yourself in your situation. Don't let your situation eat up yourself. Learn to be your own booster. When I started trying to convince myself I can be a businessman, after flopping and failing and losing thousands of dollars, and feeling stupid and dumb and having people take advantage of me, because of what I didn't know, I had to talk to myself, because people were saying to me that I was dumb, and somewhere in the back of my mind, I was saying, you're right, look at what I've done. I had to say no, 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 no less. Hey, come on, man. Get yourself together.
Because bliss is going to lead to more wealth, more abundance, more fitness, more faith, better relationships, more happiness, more peace, more wins, more success, more recognition, more significance. So what are you consciously doing now that you've chosen bliss? What is the consistent action you're taking to create more in your life? What are you doing to give yourself bliss? Is it acknowledging victories you have? Is it giving gifts to other people of your belief and your hope? Is it lifting other people up? Is it taking a bath, getting a massage, taking a walk, going for a workout, winning, achieving, knocking goals off your list? What are the things you're doing to create bliss in your own life, number one? Number two question I have for you. What are you doing to intentionally create bliss in the lives of the people that you care about? Because this is the pathway to getting more of it ourselves. The more we begin to give other people bliss, the more we begin to consciously make choices that give bliss to other people in their lives.
Where you figured out why you wanted it, you started assigning meaning and purpose. I'm doing this to save my mom and my sister, whatever the case may be. But you're assigning something to it that is deeply personal, that really makes sense with that thing. And now when an unforeseen obstacle comes your way, you know why you're fighting for this. And you will push through that boredom because it's something that you know on balance you love anyway, and you're fighting for something that matters to you. When you get that magical cocktail, as Friedrich Nietzsche said, a man with a strong enough why can endure any how. So you need that strong why to keep you focused, to ignore all the other obstacles and opportunities, to really go after that thing and to have tested. You've tried a lot of things. You did not prematurely optimize. So I know that this one is good for me. I know that I'm not, because a lot of people, they end up they like the beginning. And so in the beginning,
To get that understanding to understand that right now is the time for you to be better than you was yesterday and not hold on to the things that you cannot control. So if you are living today, then do something good, keep that faith, keep hoping, and stop turning your back on the best things in your life, because there are some good things that are happening right now for you. You're breathing, you're alive, you're doing things right now, you're walking the walk right now. This is not the time to quit. This is not the time to give up. This is not the time to stop. How many times have you said, I know I need to do better, but you don't? How many times have you got on a scale and weighed yourself, but you wasn't happy? How many times have you pulled up those pans and it just didn't fit right? How many times have you said you could not stop eating a certain type of food, but you kept doing it anyway? You see, my friends, that's an excuse. You're looking for a way out.
I know why I'm here. I'm ready to fight. This is good. And then as time wears on, laziness kicks in. They like distraction. Maybe they have ADHD. They want the next dopamine hit. They pick up their phone and suddenly they think it's, oh, well, this, Tom said to only do the one that gives me more energy. This doesn't give me enough energy. I'm going to go try something else. I would say once you've done the early exploration, of 15, 20 different things and found some that give you more energy than they take, then if more than 3 times you find yourself starting only to stop and want to start over again, that is, you're lacking grit. Angela Duckworth has a book called Grit where she addresses this, but basically you have to at some point draw a line in the sand and say, look, I know that in the early phases of this, I loved it. Now I just need to push through the boring stuff by knowing why I'm doing this and having a desire to progress in my life, which is incredibly important. And I'm going to do that by gaining mastery in the skills that I would need.
When you pick up a child, you change their perspective.
Small and steady wins the race.
What's the fastest way to change your life?
You were so focused, weren't you, during that time with that person? I mean, they were some of the happiest times of your life. The most focused times in our life, the less distracted times in our life, also equals the happiest times in our life.
So now you still have 6 hours left. So what do you do with these 6 hours? Do we do 6 hours and eat a little bit, schmooze a little bit, talk a little bit to people and all that stuff? But you can see how much time there is available. If you organize your day, so you got to work hard. I mean, let me tell you something, man. I went to America. I went to college there.
When you pick up a child, all of a sudden they can see the world the way you see it. I don't care what your children have done. There is nothing they can do for you to stop picking them up. Well, my daughter's a drug addict. I don't care. Pick her up. My son messes up. I don't care. Pick him up. I don't care. You pick them up. That is your job, mama. That is your job, daddy. That is your job, grandma. That is your job, granddad. Your number one job is to pick them up and change their perspective.
For me, I think it's understanding how to set up daily routines with alternating brain and body training and killing procrastination.
The little win with your family when you feel like watching TV sets you up for another win the next day. A little win of getting up at 5 o'clock and running your morning routine sets you up for a habit of a 5 a.m. club morning routine. Small daily improvements over time will lead you to stunning results.
It comes down to this, Elvis. I think you have to work hard. Like, just so everybody knows, we haven't gotten into this subject yet.
My saddest day, one day, my daddy looked at me and he said, boy, you too big. I can't pick you up anymore. But when he couldn't pick me up physically, he would pick me up emotionally. He would pick me up spiritually. I had a great dad because he would always pick me up. He would always change my perspective. So my daddy called me on the phone. He asked me a question. He said, son, you had a tough year. What's next? I said, Dad, I'm going to be a hospital administrator. He said, not bad, but let me ask you a question, son. Do you believe you're an NBA player? You can't outproduce your self-image, son. If you don't think so, go take the job.
Working hard is the cost of entry to anything. You know 0 people that are successful that don't work their face off. You know 0 people. Now, they may have money because mommy and daddy made money and gave it to them. But people that actually built their own success, you know 0 people that have had success that did not put in obnoxious amounts of work.
What's the most important key to success? I think it's hunger. It's not getting satisfied. A hunger that doesn't go, a hunger to learn, a hunger to grow, a hunger to serve, a hunger to give, a hunger to create breakthroughs. Most people are hungry till they make a certain amount of money and then they get comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not about the money. It's not about the business. It's about your growth. Because every one of us either grows or dies. People ask me all the time, what does it take to be happy? I say one word, progress. Progress equals happiness, because achieving a goal feels good for how long? A week, a month, 3 months? And then there needs to be something else. And the reason for something else is because you got to grow.
If you really want true bliss, you want true fulfillment, it comes from eliminating the distractions and becoming obsessed. There are healthy obsessions in life. And the more obsessed we are about healthy things, the happier we are. Whether we're obsessed with the happy times of carrying that baby and having that baby, the happy times of achieving a degree we've had in life, the obsession we've had when we were dating somebody and we were so in love with them. These times when we're in the healthiest of our obsessions is when we're the happiest. So I want to challenge you today to make that shift of eliminating these distractions and elevating your level of focus in your life. And remember this, there's 3 things that I want you to be controlling: your state, your story, and your strategy. State, story, strategy. What's your state? Are you in a state of focus? Are you pumped up? Are you breathing deeply? Are you lasered in on something? Are you completely in there? Or is your state a distracted, diverted state?
you should be able to ask and affirmatively answer the following question. Do I want to know more about this than anyone else in the world? Don't get into something unless you plan to be the best. That's my piece of advice. I know that's not going to sit well with everybody. But if you want to have the passion to make something big, to make big change, it's got to be something that you believe in beyond reasonable doubt. It's got to be something you've just got to make happen. So ask yourself, do I want to know more about this than anyone else? Because you're going to have to get better at it than anyone else if you want to be excellent and deliver on the promise. All right, interest over time plus mastery equals passion. That's how you find your passion. All right, you had 2 jobs I mentioned in the beginning. Job number 2 is build your business. Here's how we're going to do it. It's a new world, and a new world demands a new kind of company. Now, the reason that Quest went so fast wasn't just because we had done something to our minds and gotten to the point where we were so angry that we were going to push this forward no matter what. It was understanding the timing of the marketplace and the technologies that were emerging. And the technology that was emerging in 2009, when we first started thinking about the company, everybody thought Facebook was a joke. Everybody thought it was a huge distraction. And what we understood was it was just a megaphone. We didn't pass judgment on it. We just knew it was a megaphone. And it was a free megaphone. And if we could give them reason to say something good within a couple of minutes of an interaction with us, they could have a global audience and tell people about that. So we saw that the timing was right there. And we also understood that people want to have impact. Take this superhero, Iron Man. The movie franchise is off the charts. And what is it? At the same time that you have people occupying Wall Street, you have them celebrating one of the richest people on the planet. Why? Because he dresses up like a superhero and he tries to save the world.
Right? Hunched over, watching TV, looking at your phone, worrying about Iraq, worrying about North Korea, worrying about Trump, worrying about Obama, worrying about an election, worrying about who's in a fight on a reality show, right? All of that stuff distracts us. Or you in a state totally pumped up, totally focused on your dreams, lasered in. Number 2, what's the story you're telling yourself? Are you telling yourself the sacrifice is worth it, the suffering is worth it, that the price you're going to pay is worth it, and that you're going to get on the other side and great things are going to happen and your obsessions become your possessions, and this is the happiest you've ever been before, and your life matters, and you're not some fan of some team, you're a fan of your own life. That when we win, we really win. When you win the game of your own life, you really win. Not when the Patriots or Lakers win, but when I win, and you're telling yourself that story. Or are you telling yourself the other story? Hey man, I hope we get our quarterback on Sunday. I hope LeBron can drop 25, you know.
I went and worked out 5 hours a day, and I was working in construction because in those days in bodybuilding, there was no money. So we didn't have the money for food supplements or anything. So I had to go to work. I went to college. I worked out in the gym, and at night from 8 o'clock at night to 12 midnight, I went to acting class. 4 times a week, I did all that.
Do you know what the biggest hurdle in our success is? It's being worried about what others are thinking about us. The fact is, you cannot ever live the life of your dreams by settling for someone else's thoughts of what you should be doing with your life. Similarly, you cannot become truly happy if you change who you are to fit in with others. Until you accept and embrace who you really are. If you're different, be different, and do it with pride. If someone doesn't like it, who cares? Those aren't the people for you. The right people will show up when the real you comes out. There will always be someone prettier, smarter, stronger, or richer, but there will never be another you. I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not. The truth is, you will never be hated by the right people for being yourself. Being yourself is the greatest filter you could ever use. It instantly filters out all the people that don't belong with you, and at the same time, it reveals those who do. Repeat to yourself every day, I am grateful for who I am. I am grateful for who I am. I am committed to be myself and speak my truth at all times, and I know that is the only time the right people will show up in my life. You have to understand this phrase well and rationalize it. Focus on yourself and not on others. This path in life, although it is a path that is done in a group, at the end of the day, it is lonely. Do you know when you will realize that you are doing things right? When people start talking about you, criticizing areas of your life, or speaking with envy, that itself will give you the signal that you are walking on the right path. We live in a society where envy is above supporting someone who is apparently doing well. When you spend so much time reacting and responding to the people around you, it means that you are allowing others to make a decision about your life. You actually need to realize that it's not your life that God has gifted you. Therefore, you have to listen to your heart, not the crowd. Instead of blaming yourself for what others think, you should concentrate on what truly matters to you, and how minding your own business helps you to become a better and more successful person. We all have something that is blocking us or holding us back. And as we start to look at life, what we realize is that the reason that most people are not living out their true potential and not doing all of the things that they would really like to do is because of the fear. The purpose of this video is that you don't have to focus on others. Instead, you need to focus on yourself. When you feel bound to push others first at the expense of yourself, it means that you do not believe yourself. You are denying your skills, your capabilities, and your own identity. No one is going to push you to become a better person. People love when they see you worry. Once they find out that their words affect your life, they start finding faults in you. These people are like dirts, bees who always sit on the wound rather than the whole beautiful body. The biggest secret of failure is trying to please everybody. If you want to get the result that only 2% of the population has, then you have to think and behave like only 2% of the population. And if you start doing these kinds of things, the world will call you a fool. But remember, this is where you have to develop the interior core. It doesn't matter, even if people call you crazy. One of the things limiting you from your achieving your goals in life is that you care too much about what people will think about you. There are 7.7 billion people in the world, and everyone has their own opinions. Why do you need to let the opinions of other people deny you a life that will make history? Most of us go through life pretending that we're satisfied where we are, pretending that everything is fine, pretending that we don't have specific goals in life. But really, deep down inside, we want more. Let me tell you one thing. You can either live your dreams or live your fears. And if we look around, the majority of people are not living their dreams. Now, don't compare yourself to others. You have your own goals, your own dreams, and your own life. So stay focused on your journey and leave a footprint behind. So stop losing yourself while trying to hold on to someone who does not even care about losing you. Always be positive. Those people who are now saying to you that why you are doing it, the time will come soon when they will say that how you did it.
You see, the reason people quit, they don't take pride in what they do. The harder you work, the harder it is to surrender. And I'm not just talking about business. I'm talking about winning simultaneously in every aspect of life. I'm not concerned with a person that does well in one aspect of their life and they can hang their hat there and say, man, I made a lot of money. You made a lot of money. You're a public success, but you're a private failure. What good is it to make a lot of money and you don't want to go home to your family? What good is it to make a lot of money and you don't take care of your kids? What good is it? You're a public success, but you're a private failure. And so how can we win simultaneously and take pride in everything that we do? And one night my mother couldn't pick me up and she called Coach Trey. She said, Coach, I can't make it tonight. Can you please take Inky home? And so he put me and about 8 guys in the back of his pickup truck and he said, Inky, I'm gonna drop you off last. And so when he got to my house, I got out on the sidewalk and I'm standing in front of 125 Warren Street and I looked back at Coach Trey. And I said, why are you doing this? Because where I came from, people didn't just help you. It was, I pat you on your back, you gotta pat me on my back. You remember I did that for you, you gotta do this for me. And I said, why are you doing this? And he looked back at me and he said, son, I want to tell you something. He said, I don't want you to ever forget it. He said, son, the more you make sure that somebody else's life is okay, God will always make sure that your life is okay. And immediately I got it. The light bulb went off. I stopped being this little selfish kid. I stopped being like my 4-year-old son. And for the first time in my life, I stopped thinking everything was just about Inky Johnson, and I realized my existence on this earth is a lot bigger than me. I realized me, my lineage, and my family, when I step outside of my door in the morning, what I represent is a lot bigger than me. And so the thing I had to understand, every day I woke up and everything that I was a part of, I first had to understand I was representing a lot more than myself. I first had to start living by 2 words, honor and legacy. And what I mean by honor and legacy, you honor the ones that paved the way for you. And you leave a legacy for the ones that's coming behind you. We just have it right now while we're a part of something right now. Somebody has came before us and paved the way, and somebody will come after us. And so while we have it, how can we do it in such a way that we leave a legacy for the ones that's coming behind us, and we honor the ones that paved the way for us? And so everything I did, I took a certain level of pride in it. People thought I just wanted to be a great football player. What they didn't understand about Inky Johnson was this: I could have washed cars. I guarantee you I would have been the best car washer there was in the world. Because the thing I understood, I wasn't just representing myself. It wasn't just about me. Everything that I did, I shifted my mindset from me to we. Now I was operating with a spirit of collective character, meaning it didn't matter what I did individually.
Every day, week, month, or year is a gift given to us by God. And that gift is given to us to fulfill an assignment. That means that you were sent to earth to complete a task and to fulfill a specific purpose, but you were sent to do it by God within a certain amount of time. So you don't have forever to fulfill your assignment. This is important. You were sent to earth to do something, and you were given a certain amount of time to do it in. So you don't have the luxury of experimenting. And this is the Bible calls a burden. As a matter of fact, the passing of time, and I wrote this from my spirit, the passing of time makes you accountable to God. So the next time you tell somebody Happy New Year, pause and ask, what did I do with it? What did I do with the year that just passed? How much of it did I waste watching television? Being with people who had no interest in success? Being involved in habits that didn't improve my life or my body? What did I spend that year on? We are accountable to God. Why? He gave us a gift. And so when we think of time, I want to read a verse from the book of Job, chapter 14 rather, verse 5. Now, this is a verse you must remember all your life. It says, man's days are determined. That means you don't decide how long you live. Your life is on a timer. The next verse statement says, you have decreed the number of his months and have set limits he cannot exceed.
In fact, the scripture says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. If you only lean to your understanding, you're going to get frustrated because sometimes there is no logical solution. There's no way out in the natural, but we serve a supernatural God. He can make things happen that we couldn't make happen. When Victoria and I had been married about 2 years, we lived in an apartment complex. One evening we were out walking through this nice neighborhood with big trees and beautiful 2-story homes. We came to this one house that was under construction. It was just about finished. It was late in the day. No one was working, so we went to look at it. The front door was unlocked, so we walked in. It was so beautiful. I'll never forget the tall ceilings, the big curved windows. It was all so spacious and well done. As we were walking out the front sidewalk, Victoria stopped, turned around, and said, Joel, one day we're going to live in a house just like this. That was so far out of my thinking, so unbelievable, I couldn't even fathom it. And I started telling her all the reasons why it wasn't going to happen. I said, Victoria, that's impossible. This is how much we make. I work for a ministry. Even if we saved for years, we wouldn't have enough. I went on and on. That no more affected her. She said, no, Joel, I know down in my spirit it's going to happen. The more she believed, the more aggravated that made me. I did my best to convince her to be a doubter. Come on, we're limited. We'll never have enough. We're at a disadvantage. Her attitude was, no thanks. I know who I am. I am blessed. I am favored. I am anointed. I'm a child of the Most High. I wonder how many times we're doing like I did. I can't get well. Have you seen the medical report? I'll never break this addiction. I've had it since high school. My business will never succeed. I don't have the resources, the connections. All this time, you're focused on the how, thinking about what you can't do, what you don't have. God is saying, let me take care of the how. You just focus on the who. You believe that you're my child. Believe that you have an advantage. Believe that I'm a good father. Believe that I will take care of you, heal you, restore you, favor you, prosper you. We would walk that path several times a week. Every time Victoria would say, there's that house. We're going to live in something like that one day. After hearing that over and over, she started to convince me. You've heard that saying, if you can't beat them, join them. She wasn't going to sink down to where I was, so I decided to rise up to where she was. Don't let people speaking doubt, defeat, negativity cause you to give up on your dreams. Instead of letting them talk you out of it, you need to keep saying it so much that you talk them into it.
I've always known this, but somebody told me something one time about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is you. See, your unwillingness to forgive another person is like you sipping the poison, waiting on them to die. You can't sip the poison of unforgiveness and expect them to die. Forgiveness is for you.
Forgive and grow. I had to let that luggage go. You see, your mind is you know, when you go into a service station to get gas, you don't go in there and just start pumping. When you push the lever up, it clears the previous bill. By the same token, if you want to begin to move, you've got to clear your mind of all the unnecessary luggage and baggage that's weighing us down. I couldn't move. I couldn't think about what am I going to do to get out of this situation because I was so concerned about what happened and what he did to me and how bad it was. I was so stuck in that I couldn't even focus on what I should have done.
feeling sorry for myself, and angry, and none of that was taking me anywhere. So pretty soon, I learned through effort, made a conscious, deliberate, determined effort. I had to let it go. I had to forgive it. Let it go and begin to focus on developing myself. And I say to you, you're going to have people to do things to you. Things are going to happen to you. And the most important thing to do is to harness your will and let it go and move so you can grow, so you can get on with your life. It doesn't matter about what happens to you. What matters is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do now, Les? Huh? How long are you going to tell everybody? How long are you going to repeat the same thing over and over and over and over and over again? How many times do we have to hear that? Don't go around telling people what your story is. Everybody has a story. 80% don't care and 20% glad it's you.
You do not have enough strength to manage yesterday's pain. This is why you have arthritis and hypertension and diabetes and sickness and affliction. You're aging before your time. This is why you got to take a pill to get to bed, a pill to get up in the morning. You're waking up tired at 30 years old. You are carrying too much. You're loaded down with your mama's problems, your sister's problems, your kids' problems, your friends' problems, problems at church, problems at home, problems on your job. You're carrying all of that, and you go over and over and over and bit over. God said, let it go. You are younger than you think you are. You are younger than you think you are. What is it that has convinced you that you're old? You're carrying too much. You got too much weight on you. You got all kinds of cumulative effect of weight all through your life, all the way back into your childhood. You're 40 years old, still upset about who didn't raise you, who wasn't there for you, what your mama said about you. She always liked your sister better than you. And you sit up there 50 years old grieving over something that happened when you were 8. That's why you feel old. That's why your relationships are failing, because you have never divorced yourself. You have never divorced. You are not single. And you're carrying with you the pains from the first relationship over into the second one, over into the third one. Jim, don't do that. That's exactly what Fred used to do. You're going to bed with 5 people every night. Everybody who ever been with you, everybody who ever left you, everybody who ever betrayed you, they still in the bed with you every night. No wonder, how could you sleep? Put them people out of your bed. Put them out of your head. Touch me and say, let it go, let it go. If you let all those people go and what they said and what they did, you'd be younger, you'd be happier, you'd be freer, you'd be loose, you'd be creative, you'd be responsive. It can only happen. Let it go.
A person who can forgive nothing is a person who's totally destroyed psychologically and emotionally. So how do you deal with forgiveness? Number one, forgive your parents. You do not become an adult until you have forgiven your parents 100% for every mistake they ever made. Remember, it's never too late to have a happy childhood, so just go back and forgive your parents. If they're no longer with you, forgive them and let them go. So the second thing, forgive any relationship that you ever had that didn't work out. Now this is hard because it's so personal and it's so painful. But if you can forgive your parents, it's a real good warm-up. Most people are still mad at their parents in their 50s. If you then forgive every previous relationship, you accept that you were at least partially responsible for getting into the relationship. You were definitely responsible for staying in the relationship. You just say, I am responsible, I am responsible, I am responsible. I bless them and let them go. And just let it go. Because in letting them go, you set yourself free. By not letting them go, you're keeping yourself in prison, in an emotional prison. The third thing that you can do is forgive everybody else. Forgive everyone else in your life that has ever hurt you in any way. Every past childhood slight, every sibling, every person in your family, every person you ever worked for, every lousy boss or person who cheated you, lied to you, robbed you, and everything else, and so on. I mean, just let it go. Just let it go. Remember, it's a selfish act. You're doing it for yourself. And finally, number 4, this is really critical, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Now, I have it on good authority. I've done some research on you before you came here, and I find that every single person here has done some wicked, senseless, brainless, foolish, cruel, idiotic, stupid things in their life. Is that true? Say yes. Okay, let it go. And please understand this, the person who did those things no longer lives, no longer exists. The person you were in the past is a different person than you are today. The person you are today wouldn't do those things because you now have wisdom, you have hindsight, you have intelligence, you understand consequences. So the person you are today is a different person from the person you were back then. So don't keep beating yourself up because that other person, another person, did something that today you disapprove of. All right? Just let yourself go. Let yourself off the hook. And when you let it all go, it's almost like a huge burden off your back. You just forgive everybody and you forgive everything, and on a go-forward basis, you just forgive everybody. You don't have any negativities at all. No negativity toward anybody. You're just a positive person. And if you'll do that, if you accept responsibility, like yourself, and forgive everyone else, you become a truly superior person. Most amazing darn thing.
You can never be free of bitterness as long as you continue to think unforgiving thoughts. How can you be happy in this moment if you continue to choose to think angry and resentful thoughts? Thoughts of bitterness cannot create joy. No matter how justified you feel you are, no matter what they did, if you insist on holding on to the past, then you will never be free. Forgiveness of yourself and of others will release you from the prison of the past.
I used to do door-to-door sales, and I was working with another friend of mine. And door-to-door sales, I mean, it's punishing. It's cruel and unusual punishment. And I was a little boy knocking on the door. Hello, would you like to buy a nice working television set? No money down? No! Bam! They slammed the door in your face. And the friend of mine that was working with me, they slammed the door in his face, and I looked back, and he was going to the car. He said, I can't do this. And he sat down in the car and he said, you go ahead, I'll be here when you get back. Now he had a mother and father to take care of him. My mother was ill. I am adopted. I was hungry. I had to go on. I learned something about myself. That when you step into your fears, somebody said, it was Winston Churchill, he said that courage is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. When you step into your fears and continue to push yourself to go on, something happens for you. It will enable you to transcend yourself. I went to the next door. You like to buy a nice working television? No! Bam! Went to the next one. No! Bam! After a while, I no longer took it personal. And I began to play a game. I said, well, I know there's a yes out here somewhere. And I'm going to keep on till I find it. And I'm not going home until I do. And I continue to knock on doors. And then somebody eventually would say yes. And I said, are you sure? And I would go in there and I would get the sale. When you have something you want to do, if you don't develop the courage to do that which has been given you to do, and you spend a lot of time going around trying to convince other people or trying to get their approval, what will happen is that you will lose your nerve, and other people will convince you that what you're doing doesn't have any value, and you'll give up on your dream.
One of my friends woke up one day, David, and he said, sitting at the yacht club, having a drink, sitting sort of in a fog, something spoke to him and said, what could you really have done if you hadn't have been in this condition the last 15, 20 years of your life? You know, he wasn't like an out-and-out alcoholic, but he just, he drank too much. And he started thinking about that. What could I have really accomplished? You know, he wasn't bad enough to where he couldn't function, but he said that day when he thought back of what he really could have done if he hadn't have sort of stumbled around in a bit of a fog all those years, how his life would be. And he said from that day on, he never touched another drink of alcohol. Then he died about 5 years after that. But his wife said to me that last 5 years were the greatest years of our marriage, when that one day he woke up and said, wow, this is not good. What could I have done if I hadn't have been sort of semi-conscious these last 15, 20 years? And that was a very special day for him. Sometimes it's a cataclysmic event. Sometimes it's that moment. Who can really explain it? Only the person it happens to, I guess, can really explain what that inner voice was that says, I'm on the wrong track here. I wonder what I could really do if I kicked this habit or got rid of this obsession. So those are the days that turn your life around.
While life-changing days can be as cataclysmic as never touching another drop of alcohol, or as simple as lying to a Girl Scout, every life-changing day holds something in common. They all involve an internal battle inside our own heads, a battle that must be won.